My wife at the time worked at a salon and spa. She owned it. So she was self-employed. We didn't have any steady income. We didn't have any insurance. So we got back from our son being born, and it was the first day in the office. I walked in, they had a big banner, said, "Congrats, Chris." And I walked in, I said, "Hey, I appreciate it, but I quit." and I gave my notice. So my steady paycheck, my steady job, this was 2007. And we actually started off by opening up our real estate company first. I wasn't building at the time. And then, as you know, 2008, 2009. So those years were pretty tough. And I was really questioning, like, what did I do? I gave up my steady paycheck to jump in this. There was nights I couldn't sleep. You just wake up and you go, oh, wow, like, how do I do this? I need to pay this bill. I don't have any money. So yeah, 08, 09, it was tough. It was tough. Made me strong, made me tough. I always told myself, if I can get through that, I can get through anything.
Welcome to the Builder Straight Talk podcast with your host, Michael Krisa. Get the unfiltered truth from the trenches of construction, real estate, and funding. This episode is made possible by our parent company, Sound Capital. Funding built for builders.
I want you to imagine for a moment that you've got 12 gorgeous homes up on the market, anywhere from $750 to $1.5 million. And you know historically that within 30 to 60 days, your homes sell. But in this case, the market just did a lane change without telling you. And within the course of a single week, you just took a hit for $250,000. Think about that, $250,000. So what do? You still have to roll out of bed, pull up your pants. You have to go to work. You've got to motivate your troops. And I know this sounds like a horror story, but I'm going to share something with you. This is a true life story. And it comes from my next guest, Chris Lyons. And Chris is a second-generation builder. He's also the president of the Texas Association of Builders. He's the founder of Homes by Lyons, and he's a really savvy guy. He has scaled his business to become very, very successful. But along that way, he took some bumps. He took some hits. Let's call it the school of hard knocks. So in this conversation that we're going to have with Chris, let me share with you some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. Why transparency with clients, including showing them every dollar that is spent, can transform trust and eliminate what he calls the end of project conflict. We're going to talk about real systems that builders need to scale. What happens when you grow too fast? The hard lessons that he learned along the way by having too much inventory and not enough time, not enough capital. Why many builders get stuck. What is that roadblock that keeps them from scaling, and how do we get over that speed bump? And why builder involvement in organizations like the National Association of Home Builders is so crucial for builders just like you. And how policy decisions impact fees, regulations, and well, there's so much here that affects your bottom line as a builder. So before we get started, I need to ask you something that's going to affect our bottom line. Please, with the click of your mouse, hit subscribe, like, and share. Had to think about that. That was an Elmer Fudd moment. Subscribe, like, and share. That's what gets our podcast into the algorithms so many other builders can experience the content that we're sharing here at Builder Straight Talk. There's never any advertising. It's all great content from builders that are willing to share their story. So again, simple click of the mouse, subscribe, like, and share. Now, without further ado, let's get into this conversation with Chris Lyons. Mr. Chris Lyons, I want to thank you for taking time out to be on the podcast today. I know it's going to sound like a kind of contrite question, but how are you, my friend?
Hey, I appreciate you. I'm doing fantastic. I'm having a great morning. I'm pumped up on my energy drinks, and I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm excited about this conversation because, Mr. President, I should have given you the salutations right off the bat. You are the president of the Texas State Association of Home Builders, so we'll dive into that. But before we get started, here's your opportunity to tell us a little bit about who you are, where you build, price point, and that kind of wonderful stuff.
Yeah, I love it. So my name's Chris Lyons. I'm out of the big town of Amarillo, Texas. We build in Lubbock also. So Amarillo and Lubbock's our market area. I grew up with, everybody always asks, like, how did you get in the business? Well, it's real easy. My mom is a realtor and owns a brokerage. My dad's a home builder, and they've been doing this for both over 40 years. So as I was growing up, I always told myself, I'm not going to do what mom and dad do. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to be my own man. So I went to school, a local college here called West Texas A&M, and got my degree. And then I went to work for a warehouse, and I was a buyer. So I just got to sit around and spend their money all day. And it was cool. I was doing my own thing, wasn't doing what my parents did. But then guess what? I got drug in And I didn't get drug in. I did it on my own, but I started selling real estate part-time. And then it got to that point where I had to make the decision of, do I keep on selling real estate or do I stick with my full-time job? So I'm really responsible. And sometimes I don't think things through all the time. My wife at the time worked at a salon and spa. She owned it. So she was self-employed. We didn't have any steady income. We didn't have any insurance. It was all on my insurance and steady paycheck. So we got back from our son being born, and it was the first day in the office. And I walked in, they had a big banner, said, "Congrats, Chris." And I walked in, I said, "Hey, I appreciate it, but I quit." and I gave my notice. So my steady paycheck, my steady job, this was 2007. I gave notice, and we actually started off by opening up our real estate company first. I wasn't building at the time. Opened it up, and then, as you know, 2008, 2009 was really tough. So those years were pretty tough, and I was really questioning, like, what did I do? I gave up my steady paycheck to jump in this. So there was 08, 09. We made it through it, and we grew that real estate side. Well, come 2016, my dad said, I may retire. And I said, "Well, you can't retire. This is all I know. I've grown up with mom in real estate, you building." So we started our own home building side. Everybody thinks, "Oh, you took over your dad's." We didn't. We started our own home building side called Home by Lyons, started in Amarillo. And that was 2016. And we started growing that. It's really cool now because now dad has shut down his company and he works with Home by Lyons. I don't say for Home by Lyons because he's dad. He gets to do whatever he wants. So he works with us, and which is good because he's the one that taught us a lot of the things about home building. So he's there. And then now Home by Lyons, we build in Amarillo, we build in Canyon, we build anywhere, with the market right now, it moves. And so anywhere from 20 to 55 homes at a time, mainly that higher end, $700 to $1.5 million range is kind of where we're looking at. And then in the meantime, I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I was going to ask you, so are you doing production build or are you doing custom? I want to say spec, but then our mutual friend, Jeannie Conger, will reprimand me, scold me like the little child that I am, because I'm not supposed to say spec.
No, I love, and that's a great question. So we started off as full custom, but we would do a few spec homes. So I still call them spec homes. So I'm going to be in trouble with you. We do a few specs. Now, here's one thing that COVID taught me, and we can dive into this a little bit too later if you want. COVID taught me we were so busy during COVID that it really stretched the boundaries of what we could handle as a company. We're not a huge company, but we were doing 55 at one time, and all those were customs. We have a pretty small team. My wife, Tracy, is our designer, so she works with each client to pick out all the pretty stuff. And then, we have a project manager for Lubbock. At that time, we had 2 for Amarillo. But with that many homes going, it really stretched our comfort level. And it made me realize, like, I love this amount of homes, but we either have to add more people to be able to do that and not want to just jump in front of a bus, honestly, because it was great because the money was good, but it was really hard on everything else. So we've kind of changed our model a little bit going forward, and now we don't say we're a production builder or anything like that because we're not, but we have 16 plans on our website that are pre-designed that people can look at it and go from there. It's almost like a semi-custom model, but we don't call it semi-custom. We just say we have 16 plans available that they could go with, or they could go full custom. So we're kind of that maybe a little bit of a hybrid for that higher end. We have plans available. If you want one of those, you can tweak it. You can we can start from scratch. It's really that's kind of where we land.
Man, you threw so much at me there, Chris. I'm trying to figure out where to start. So let's go back to the beginning there. So your parents drugged you, because that's what you said. Then you woke up inside of real estate, or dragged you. I think it dragged or drugged, one of the two. The part that kind of beguiles my little brain here, you went from working in a real estate company, so a brokerage, right?
Brokerage.
And
yes,
then
sir.
you decide, ta-da, we're going to be builders. It'd be like you saying, well, guess what, honey, we're going to go fight in the MMA. Well, did you learn along the way how to take a punch? Did you learn how to fight? So where was that transition, or where did you get that knowledge to go from residential sales to actually construction and building
that's a
things
great
that
question.
aren't going to fall over?
Yeah. So one thing I kind of left out is if your family member is they build, more than likely, if you're the kid, you're probably picking up trash on the job site. And that's what I grew up doing. So even though I wasn't, quote, technically a builder yet, I'd built our own rent houses before then. I built my personal house before then. And the other part of it, I was out on the jobs picking up trash from young ages. I mean, I was out there just doing whatever. I finally got tired of picking up trash. And I said, this is horrible. And so again, this is how smart I was. I said, this is bad. I don't like picking up trash. So I got a job with our insulator and I started insulating homes. And then when I was sitting up in that attic and it's about 150 or 60 degrees and we're blowing cellulose and all that sticks to you, I thought, man, maybe trash wasn't that bad. But so just to know, I grew up in it so much that it wasn't new to me. A little bit of once we started officially building a little bit more at a time, we had to get it a little bit more on the process, to make sure it was smooth. Because when you're doing not a spec house, a rent house just for yourself or your own personal house, you can be a little bit more lax on the timelines. And but then when you move and you start actually building for a client, they expect it to be tied up a little bit.
Was there, for lack of a better word, Chris, like a calling? Like if I think of Star Wars, for example, the hero's journey, the archetype, there's young Skywalker sitting on the farm, a perfect example, I guess. And there's that calling to adventure. There's something greater calling him forward. You're, doing your job, then you transition into the real estate brokerage. Was there that moment, like, a tap on the shoulder, a definitive voice saying, hey, this is the next phase. This is the next chapter in my life.
Yeah.
Was it that distinctive?
It wasn't, it wasn't, but it was. My dad never pushed me to get into it. My family is very supportive about me doing what I want to do. They don't push me. But when Dad said he was going to retire, that was the part that really, I think that was the part that it pushed me because I had it in me and I knew I wanted to do it. But our real estate side was going really good too. And I was pretty busy with that. And so I wasn't thinking about really launching a home building side until Dad said, hey, I may start slowing down. I may retire. And what's funny, he never retired. Like I said, he's still working. So that was 10 years ago. But that's probably what pushed me in that direction. There wasn't one certain thing beyond that. I didn't have people come and say, hey, build us a custom. Because a lot of times I'd say that's how it kind of starts is somebody says, hey, can you build me a house? And then you start doing one and then maybe that turns into two and that turns into four. Mine was a little bit different start than that.
Yeah, there's an interview that I did. The builder's name was Cody Clark, and he's in Texas as well. And he was a paramedic firefighter. And I mean, you're thinking, okay, there's a really cool skill set. But then a friend asked him to build a house for him. And it's the same thing. Like, where do you go from, putting on splints and Band-Aids to putting on shingles and roofing? But that was his first start. He did it, made some money on it, and then realized, hey, this could be a lot better than what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. So you started your own building company. Wasn't there, not temptation, that doesn't sound right, an influence from your dad to say, hey, Sonny Jim, come on and work with your dad's company? Like, I've already got something that's up and running versus trying to reinvent the wheel on your own.
No, so one thing with me too is I'm a little bit hard-headed on certain things. And I'll tell you, Dad is an amazing builder. He can build an amazing house. Where me and Dad differ a little bit is I lean a lot on technology also. Dad, he just came from that thinking he didn't have to have a lot of technology. I don't know if he even had business cards. A lot of his signs were kind of faded out, but he was as busy as he could be because he'd get referral business. But the other side of that, the technology, I always wondered when I would be driving through, we live in a little town called Canyon, just south of Amarillo. And at night, me growing up, I remember driving through Canyon and seeing Dad at the office at like 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock at night. I thought, man, that's so weird. He works all the time. Well, now I know what he was doing because Dad's construction company was just Dad. He was the only one. So he was sales, he was accounting, he was everything. But he had to go to the office late at night because he had to write the checks and he had to do all that stuff, but he did it all by paper. His numbers were spot on accurate, but it was all done by paper and it just takes more time. Where I kind of came at it is I wanted to come in with a lot of technology and to use that technology and actually let it help the clients too. So my model was so technology driven that it didn't really fit what he was doing. He was doing his thing, just building amazing houses, getting referrals. Well, I came in and one thing that shaped, I don't know if I've ever really told anybody this, but one thing that's really shaped how we set up our home building side was some of my experiences on the real estate side. And that was when I was representing clients that were buying a new house. I would get to see the process of how other builders did things. And I'm not going to say I always loved it. It's changed a lot now, but a lot of times when I was selling, the builders were very closed. They didn't want the client to know really what the cost was or if there was overages. And so what would happen, we'd be building and we'd be going and we think everything was fine. And then we'd get to the end and the builder would say, hey, client, you're 30 grand over. And the client had no idea. That was the first time they heard about it, is right before closing. It caused a lot of friction, honestly, between the builder and the client. And I saw that on my side and I didn't like that. So one thing that we've decided to do is we're totally open with our budgets with our client. So we use a system that they can log in and they can see every penny spent. And I like that because it holds me accountable, but it's also good for those clients because if you go over, like I think the client should be able to look at their budget and determine they're grown adults. They should figure out, like, if I want to go over budget, I can, but I think they need to know that they're doing that and in real time. So that's kind of the model I took, is just because I don't like getting yelled at. And so I wanted to try to make it where the client has full access to their budgets. And so anyways, long story, that's how we kind of do things.
That's a fatal trap because you've created this relationship. First of all, you separated yourself from the herd and they've decided that they want to work with you. So now they trust you and you've created that trifecta of know, like, and trust. And the process is unfolding. You're building the house. Everybody's happy. They're telling all their friends about what a wonderful job, Chris is doing. And then, surprise kids, by the way, you're overextended by about 40 grand.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. I don't have 40 grand sitting in my couch cushions. It just seems like common sense that you'd want to keep them apprised of, hey, remember when you wanted to do the update for the glass doors and, the granite countertops? Here's where we are now.
Yeah.
Just to keep you on track.
I agree, but it's a hard conversation because when you have that conversation with the client, it's not going to be great. And so I think some builders just choose to have that conversation one time and just have a big blow up at the end. I don't even know if they do it on purpose, honestly, but where we've chosen to have that conversation throughout the build. So they can log in. If they see anything that's over budget, they can question me on it. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Ask me why you're over. Let me dig into it. Let me make sure it's right. So really this open book model, it's fantastic, but it holds the builder accountable really every step throughout the whole build. And so we're having maybe some of those uneasy conversations more often than just at the end, but it makes it where at the end, they know what's coming and they know what to expect. So that's really what set the tone on how I wanted to set up Home by Lyons, is because I saw on the real estate side, I just saw it wasn't going exactly the way. And I'm not saying with every builder, I'm just saying with some scenarios, I saw this and I didn't like it. And I knew my clients didn't like it. So I just looked at it and go, okay, here's the problem. Clients are being blindsided a little bit. How do we fix that? And I remember when I went to this model, I had a lot of people tell me, you're crazy. Why do you show all your clients your whole budget? I mean, they see what we make. They see every penny that flows through. But I do that because I know when I build my personal house, I want to know where my money goes. And I think it's only fair that if somebody's building a house, they get to see where their money goes. So
yeah, I'll do a lane change in a second. I just want to unpack this just a bit further. Do you think that you could eliminate the turbulence, because that's what this is, by setting the expectations right at the very beginning? So when you're sitting down with them, and when I'm selling real estate, I'm a licensed broker. I've been doing it since '89. And the first thing I would do is I would sit down with my potential seller and I would give them a choice. I'd say, hey, Chris, do you want me to be honest with you?
Yep.
And I mean, of course, everybody wants you to be honest. So, okay, Chris, can I be brutally honest with you? Okay, Chris, can I be brutally honest to the point where I make you cry? So I've set the level of expectations, and then I unpack, here's what the journey is going to be. And when it comes to selling a home or buying a home, there are certain things that I've discovered throughout my career that are common pitfalls, if you will, that a buyer or seller will make.
Right.
And I call them turbulences, for lack of a better word. And I've got this chart, if you will, and it's got 97 turbulences. And then I give it to them right at the very beginning. And I said, no, here's what's going to happen. Right now, we're in this, honeymoon phase, and we're going to find you the home or sell you the home. And when that's done, at that moment when it's done, I am a superhero. I am a superhero. It's like literally, I've walked through the fire. I've carried you out. But here's what's going to happen next. At the end of that moment, it's like a law of diminishing returns. Michael, what have you done lately?
Yeah.
And this is where it's going to turn, because you'll get a call from potentially your lawyer. It's going to be the appraiser. It's going to be somebody that says, hey, it didn't appraise the way it was supposed to, or there's something. And then I'm going to say, let's go back to that list. We're talking about number 37. Remember, I told you number 37, here's the things potentially that could happen. I'm on it. So I like to set the expectation ahead of time and then obviously create that relationship so I can be honest with them. And I think that eliminates the surprise moments, if you will. Would that be fair to say that's something you want to incorporate?
Yeah, 100%. So I love that. It's about setting the expectation. And it's
Yeah, and
easier
I
at
think
the front. Like I get why I get it in sales in general. I'm talking sales general. Why
Yep.
sometimes at the first, people when they're trying to maybe get that contract signed or something else, I get where they maybe don't talk about what bad could happen. But I'm like you. I would rather talk about it and just say, hey, not everything's going to go perfect. And we tell people that when we start building for them. We're going to do the best we can, but we're humans. And we deal with humans that are building the house. And not everything's going to go perfect. But what I'll tell you is we'll make it right. And we'll make sure it's good. I also joke around too, and I tell clients, I said, you'll only cry 2 or 3 times.
tissues are free. Is that what you say? And they're branded. It's got our company logo on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's touch on your dad for a sec, because I still have that image in my head of you driving by at 10 o'clock at night and the lights are on and he's working. I think it's fair to say that your dad created a job for himself versus a business.
yeah.
And if I compare it to what you're doing, you're following the path of that book that has become almost like a Bible in business, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. So you've created systems right from the get-go, which allows you to step back. And now I can look at my business from 60,000 feet and I can work on it versus being stuck in it.
Yeah. Yeah. You hit on
So
that perfect. Systems are something that we believe in a lot. And that's what helped us building those systems early is what helped us when COVID hit, because we weren't built for 55 custom homes at one time. I mean, there was only about 5 of us on staff. I mean, it was a lot, but the systems allowed us not to just totally crash and burn. And I say crash, but we didn't crash and burn, but you remember, and I don't need to go through how hard COVID was with pricing and availability and everything else, but those systems allowed us to get there. So I'm big on systems. Let's build the team, let's build the systems, and then we just work the process. And that probably oversimplifies it, but just work the process.
okay, let's take this back to the beginning then. So from what you've learned, I can hit my thumb so many times with this hammer. I'm going to get a softer hammer. You're talking about systems. So let's look at a builder right now and there's a succession that I've seen. It could be somebody who's pouring concrete. It could be a framer. And they decide, hey guys, we could be doing this on our own. Why don't we start building our own homes? And so they'll assemble their team, their band of merry men. They'll step out and they'll do their first build. And it worked, and they managed to make some money, and then it's wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, we did that. Let's try it again. And now maybe they're doing 4 or 5 homes a year as a small fledgling company. And now they're ready to scale. So let me ask you this. At what point were you ready to scale? And when you talk about systems, like give me what were the top 3 or 5, because builders love numbers. So what would be the top 3 systems that you would recommend to a builder that's getting ready to scale?
Yeah, for sure. So our biggest one and probably the main one we use is Builder Trend. So we use Builder Trend, and that helps so much, because that's what for us, it sounds like a sales pitch for Builder Trend. So if you're listening to Builder Trend, then there you go. But it helped us so much because that's a system that allowed the client to see exactly what they're spending. That's where we pay all the bills. That system in itself was honestly probably the biggest part of our system, because we've turned it into to scheduling, to cost, really everything. That's our big system. That's our secret sauce. I hate to give it away. And the other thing with systems, I'll tell you, and I'm sure a lot of builders go through this, it's hard being a builder sometimes, because I'm not going to say that some of us are super techie and some of us are not super techie. And I know too that a lot of builders are really busy and they don't have time to sit down and maybe build out Builder Trend with the schedules and all the cost and everything like it should be. So I've seen some people jump into a system, regardless if it's Builder Trend or something else, and not have the time to invest in it. And so that system never really works for them, because they don't ever really have time to get it set up the way it needs to be. So my advice would be, find your systems, whatever they are, spend the time to really get to know them, build out all the stuff in there. And it does take time. It takes a lot of time, but once it's done, it saves you so much time moving forward.
When you refer to builder trend, and I guess this goes back to like a bigger, I don't want to say problem, trying to master something new. And then, so you're taking yourself away from your core competencies to focus on this new thing. Would it be prudent to get somebody that is well versed in that can help you fast track it, to help you implement it, as opposed to you trying to figure it out on your own?
Yeah, I think for some it could be. For me, probably not, because I know how I am. I like that new shiny toy, and I'm just going to get in there and play with it for forever and figure it out. And I want to make sure, I think one thing that's important too is, as a business owner, you need to know better than anyone how that system works. You don't necessarily have to be the one doing it, but I think you need to know the back end, the understanding of how it works, so you can manage it properly too. But yeah, if you had somebody that could get in there and help set that up for you, fantastic. But just make sure that you understand how it works behind the scenes too, so you can make sure it's all running smooth.
Okay. We talked about builder trend. What else would you recommend to a builder that's getting ready to scale?
So my biggest thing too was field communication for our guys. And I said, we're not big, and this isn't anything crazy, but what we did is we bought iPads for all of our people with cell service so they could be out in the field. And one thing I didn't want to do, so growing up with Dad, I'd be driving his pickup, and he's building all these homes, and his pickup, he had probably 20 plans on the dash of his pickup. You couldn't even see when you're driving because there's just plans everywhere. Well, and again, I told myself, I bet I can find a different way to do it. So we don't really print many plans, as little as possible. Everything that we have is on Google Drive. So we use Drive to store everything, and all the house plans are on there. And then our team can just pull up Google Drive and pull up the plan. I like that because they can be in the field. They don't have to worry about coming to the office and logging in. They're in the field. They get to see the plan, and makes your pickup way cleaner.
How important is a culture to you within your company?
Yeah, culture's big. So one thing that's big for me is you're never too good. It doesn't matter what position you have. You're never too good to do all the little things. Example, when we started the company, it was big for me that my team be willing to pick up trash on the job sites. You got to think, I came from picking up trash on job sites. Still to this day, I'm not too good to pick up trash on the job sites. Now, with that being said, do I pick up trash on the job sites? No, really, my time now is better spent with other things, but I'm not afraid to. And I wanted that culture on our team to be one of, we're not afraid and we're not too good to do any part of it. And still that's true. I mean, with some of my team now, I have to really focus on telling them, hey, it's okay to hire help. You can get a little help. I don't expect you to do all this yourself. But when we started the company, we were small when we started, and it was, so we'd probably push a little bit more to do more of it ourselves. But as we've grown, I've seen that culture stay. Taking care of the clients is number one, being honest with them. We try not to say no to anything. If the client wants it, we'll look at it, we'll price it out, we'll give them the option, and we'll kind of coach them on what we think. But at the end of the day, our job is to serve that client. And so I want that servant's heart with our client. I don't want us to be too proud to, to pick up trash. Just those little things like that. Just stay grounded and stay humble.
I think those little things, it's a death of a thousand cuts, because you figure, okay, a couple coffee cups, what's the big deal? But that your clients are going to be walking the site when you're not there. And what you leave behind is almost a signature, and it's not a good one, of who you are and what your company stands for.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And how hard is it to bend over and pick up some trash? It's not hard. And then when you grew up picking up trash from probably the age of, I don't know when, I need to ask Dad when I started picking up trash. I was young. I was probably 10, and it was a lot, and they're dirty. The job sites were filthy. And I remember these days, but it was just important for me that anybody on my team just know we're not too good to pick up trash.
How old were you, Chris, when you got married?
I was 21, just turned 21.
So was that part of the strategy? You got married so somebody would pick up after you?
I mean, I wish. I figure I better get married because my wife is way prettier than me. And I thought, if I don't go ahead and keep her, then somebody else will.
Yeah, let's mark that point down just in case she's listening. We'll make that louder than the rest of the interview.
Exactly.
We're talking about the little things, cleaning up and stuff. Do you see some, let's call it the common pitfalls, the common mistakes that a builder will make without even realizing that they're making them? And are they the type of mistake that happens over and over again? And if they do, why?
Yeah. So I would say if you keep making the same mistake over and over again, then that's when you need to be hard on yourself. You need to learn. the one thing that's pretty common in our industry is things change. Things change fast. I mean, yeah, some of the basics stay the same, but a lot of the other changes. So if that change is happening and you see yourself, you keep making that same mistake over and over, you got to figure out what that is and get out of your own way, get that fixed and then move on. I'll tell you a pitfall that I've seen on a builder too, not just builder, I'll say sales professionals in general and builders, is they try to do too much of it themselves. And I get it, because you start and you think, man, it's just me, and I'm afraid the next job's not going to be there and I may not have the money. But I've seen it hold back so many people where they don't bring on that person to help them and help them scale. And you can only do so much by yourself, because then you're in that position. And again, when dad listens to this, I am not saying anything bad about this, but then you're in that position that my dad was, and he's having to work his tail off until 11 o'clock at night. I mean, you can only do so much as one person. So find that right team and bring them in. And you'll kind of figure out when that time is, but bring them in. One life lesson I learned is trying to do it all myself. I failed bigger, and it cost me more money, me trying to do everything, than actually hiring people that know what they're doing. So that would be my thing. Try to figure out when that path is and when to bring in somebody and help them teach them what you're looking for and help them grow the company.
I think if we tap back into that book, The E-Myth, one of the big takeaways is if you break down what your rate would be per hour,
Yeah.
right? And let's say on average $100, $150 an hour, and you ask yourself, okay, I'm picking up garbage, I'm doing accounting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm doing $150 hour work that I could assign to somebody else for $15 or $20 an hour.
Right.
And I think that's the stark reality. And no offense to your dad, that's the way a lot of builders like to do it, because they want to do everything. But when you take that financial snapshot and you realize it's actually costing me to do what I do, and I can hire people that are going to do it a lot better and a lot faster, you actually realize that's when you start making money, because that gives you the ability now to go out and focus on your core competency, which could be meeting with prospective buyers and getting the job done.
Exactly right. I 100% agree with everything. And the other thing I've seen people fail at, and it's kind of the same talk, is they plan too much. And that sounds awful saying. I'm not saying don't plan, but I've seen, here's my motto. Instead of ready, aim, fire, mine's ready, fire, and then I just aim. And it's worked out well for me, because I've seen people get caught in the ready, aim, and they never fire, because they sit there and they try to build out something and try to make it perfect. Well, guess what? You're not going to make it perfect. Things change so much that you just got to jump out there and figure it out. Get a good base plan put together, but don't be afraid to jump out there and just go and then figure it out and be nimble, and you'll figure it out.
I see that on the scaling side, where you've got a small builder that is, I'll say, toying with the idea of scaling.
Yeah.
And they know they want to expand, and they plan it out, and they keep planning it out and planning it out, but they're not willing to execute.
Yeah.
Have you got any advice to a builder like that they've got the potential to grow, but they're reluctant to do it?
Yeah. I would say you just have to, and I know it's hard. Like my personality, I'm a little bit more of a risk taker. Like I love Vegas. Like I'm not addicted to gambling. Don't get that wrong, but I love Vegas. I don't mind taking a risk. And for me, I just knew I just have to jump out there and do it. It wasn't that hard for me to talk myself into doing it. But I know other builders that are in this position right now that are looking at that, and it's a single person builder, and they've, and one of them in particular, he's a great guy. And I've talked to him. I said, hey, what are you going to do? And he said, well, I think I want to bring on somebody, but he's caught in that fear. And I get it, because you're having to put yourself out there to be vulnerable, really. I mean, where you could get hurt. What if the jobs don't come? What if I don't have enough money to pay this? I get it. And it's a real conversation, but at that point, you got to have some faith. And as long as you have your projections and you think they're solid, and you really think that you getting out and not having to do everything, because I agree, like what I do a lot is sales. Well, if I'm doing all the accounting and all the sales, and I'm the one actually out in the field building the house and everything else, it's really hard for me to focus great on any of those, and I'm worn out at the end of the day. So I'd just say it's a long way to get around to it, but you just got to get out there and do it. Have some confidence in yourself. Be safe. I'm not saying be crazy or irresponsible, but you just got to jump out there and do it.
Do you find that the fact that you and your wife are working together in the business, how do you separate work from family time, or do you find that one spills into the other?
It's tough.
Does it ever cause stress, the fact that you see each other all the time, and basically swimming in the same pool all the time?
Yeah. So it's a fantastic question. And it is something that for us, it works really good, but we've put a little bit of boundaries in place. So for example, like our office, when I'm in our Lubbock office today, but our Amarillo office, we have a glass wall and she's on one side of the hall and I'm on the other side and we stare at each other all day. Luckily, we get along fantastic. She's great at her job. It works out really well. But I tell you, it's so easy when we go home to be sitting there at 10 o'clock at night and want to start talking about work. So we try, Michael, we're not great at it, but we try not to talk about work after 7. And that helps because you got to have that separation. One thing though with us too, and I didn't even hit this, but we have a lot of family that works for our companies, a lot of family. So I deal with a lot of family already. And for me, everybody always asks, hey, is that tough? Well, it hasn't been, and it's been really good, but we treat everybody the same. We don't play favorites. It's been really good, but we have in our real estate side, we have a lot of family. My brother works on our real estate side. He sells. My mom, like I said, she's over there. I'm over there. My sister-in-law's over there. So you have a lot of family on that side. And then on our build side, my first hire is my project manager in Amarillo. His name's Kirk. He's my brother-in-law. So he's there. And then obviously my wife works with us. And then my dad works with us. And then we didn't even hit on it, but we have an insurance company too. And my brother-in-law works there. And then my wife's cousin and her husband work there too. So where I'm going with this, we deal with a lot of this family dynamic throughout all of our companies. And it's really been a blessing. I know some people get scared of it, but for us, it's been a blessing. You just have to know it's so easy to talk about work 24/7. And I get it. And it's very important to me. And it's who I am. But you got to have some family time too. And you got to be able to pump the brakes a little bit and focus on your family.
I think it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning. It's just a matter of setting boundaries. That when we're at work, we're talking about work, having a beer, looking at whatever. That's what we're talking about now.
Yep.
And I can see that there's going to be that overlap. Yeah, that happens. That happens. But again, you just have to set the boundaries and say, hey, this is our time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of time, you mentioned Vegas, which means that you've got a relationship with money. Let's talk about money. How do you fund what you do, or is everything strictly from the buyer side?
Yeah. So this was one shift we had too back in COVID. So before COVID, our build company would get the interim construction note for the client and we would carry the note for them. Once COVID hit, banks got nervous. They didn't want us carrying that much. They were afraid the buyers were going to walk off. And so that shifted us to we have the clients carry all their notes now. It's really probably a better model. It's probably a safer model. It doesn't put as much stress on probably our company of having to get 20, 30 loans at a time. And it's good with the client too, because again, they're in full control and they see everything too. So that's how we do it now. The clients carry all their own, and then we just do draws weekly.
So in the type of building that you're doing, you really don't have to rely on funding because it's basically client funded, correct?
Yeah, except our spec houses. And, we still try to do a decent amount of spec homes, and then we finance those through banks. So we do that too.
So what would you be looking for? So right now across the U.S., the Fed is starting to tighten up because many banks are overextended, more so in the commercial side, but the commercial and the real estate side are basically in the same portfolio. And the banks are saying, Feds are saying, hey, you got to dump these. So typically a builder could be in, let's say his second round, maybe they're taking down 20 homes at a time. They're 10 in, they're about to start the next 10. And they go to the bank and the bank says, well, hey, Chris, you've done a great job. We love you. I've been working with you forever. I can give you a calendar, but we don't have the money to give you right now. Have you experienced that, or do you see it starting to unfold now across the U.S.?
Yeah, I've seen it honestly for the past several years. It's slowed down. I mean, they haven't turned off the spigot, but they've made it a lot harder. And, there are several builders, at least across my area and parts of Texas, that got caught with some inventory when it slowed down. And I was one of them. We got caught with inventory and we lost money on every one of those houses we sold. So, it was a little rough. We were fine. We made it through it. No big deal. But there's a lot of builders that did not make it through it. And the banks see that and they start tightening up. So a lot of the banks we use are the local community banks And so we don't have a lot of the I don't think we really have any of the big national banks. It's really just community banks, and they tighten up a little bit. And the other thing that I've seen a lot, there's a lot more talk now about deposits. They want deposits now, and I get it because they need that money to build a loan. So that's what we're seeing a little bit more. Is they've slowed it down. They're making sure that you're solid. They don't want to get you out there in a spot that you can't handle, and they want to see deposits in their bank.
Yeah. This gives me the opportunity to shamelessly promote Sound Capital, who is our parent company that basically keeps the lights on for the podcast. And they're private equity, they're insurance-backed money. And what makes them really interesting is when they guarantee a loan, that money has to be put aside in escrow. So there will never be a moment where they say, hey, guess what, Chris? We can't advance that draw because it has to be sitting in escrow. That's just part of it. And they're built by builders. So the CEO was a builder. Many of the people working there were builders. So when they fund something, they're actually part of that story. They understand what the builder's going through, and it's basically funding built for builders.
Yeah, it's a great model, and I've done some research, on them, and they're fantastic, and I love the model. I love that they're built by builders, so that's definitely something in the future we're going to explore.
Well, I appreciate you saying before the show that you were going to get the Sound Capital tattoo done, and I think that's going to be a big hit.
I mean, I was thinking about it, but then I thought I hate needles, so maybe not. Maybe I'll just wear their shirt.
Well, you get that stick-on one, you lick it and put it on, the trial tattoo.
Yeah, I got one tattoo before, and it hurt so bad, I don't think I want another one.
No, I can't even think of it. My wife would scratch it off with a fork. I don't need to go there. So far, the way we've described your life, it's been almost like out of a storybook, just merrily floating along. It's like the perfect CEO. I've made 3 decisions. All of them were perfect. And I'm going to push back and say nothing probably could be further from the truth. We don't see behind the curtain. Was there ever a moment, and I think you kind of alluded to it with 08 and 09 when the crash happened, was there ever a time when you were staring in the abyss and you thought, oh my God, what have I done? How did I get to this place? I put my family here. How the hell do I get out of it? Was there ever one of those, like looking into the inky abyss?
Yeah, there was actually 2, and one of them wasn't that long ago. So I'll start with the one in 08, 09 first, and it was the brokest I've ever been. I mean, we didn't have any money. It was bad. We were young. I was coming out of my little, buying job there at the warehouse, and they were paying. I thought it was a ton when I got out of school. They were paying. I started off at like $30,000 a year. I thought, oh man, I am rich. Well, I found out that 30,000 goes pretty fast. And anyways, so when we jumped in full board and we opened our real estate company in Amarillo and we had our little office. Yeah, there was nights I couldn't sleep. You just wake up and you go, oh, wow, like, how do I do this? I need to pay this bill. I don't have any money. So yeah, 08, 09, it was tough. It was tough. Made me strong, made me tough. And so I always told myself, if I can get through that, I can get through anything. Well, and then the other one, just being completely candid with you, because I'm not ashamed of it, is a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, I told you it slowed down and a lot of builders got hit hard. We got stuck with 13 homes, and I know 13. There's a lot of builders I've talked to that got stuck with a lot more than that, but we were 13 and we were losing a lot per house. I mean, there was one week that I closed on two homes and we lost $250,000 that week. So it was just tough. So it kind of got me back in that spot, like, wow, like this, like you're sitting there and you're up at night, like, okay, how do I get out of this? And we made it through it and we were fine, but it was tough. It keeps you up at night. And the one thing that people say to me is sometimes they'll say, oh, must be nice. Oh, must be nice, to do whatever. But they don't see the stress and all this gray hair that was behind it. And I'm not trying to like talk myself up or pat myself on the back, but I'm saying this for other builders is it's not always easy. Like, we're going to win some, we're going to lose some. You just got to make sure you're strong enough to make it through the hard times, because it's not always easy. And we just went through that, and it was tough. I mean, we came out on the winning side, but it was tough. Tough.
Yeah. Yeah. At least you can joke about having gray hair. Me as a hair donor, this would be something I would look at in a magazine. But that said, let's get back to one more question here about your building style. Is there helicopter pilots call it go, no go? And when they're on a rescue mission, they have a certain amount of fuel and they fly out to where they're going to rescue that person. And when they get there, they know that they have so much fuel in reserve to do the mission, and then they have to head back.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to end up ditching that thing. Do you have the same kind of philosophy when you're taking on a build? Is there a no-go zone that you just will not cross?
Kind of, sort of. And I love the way you put it, because I don't even think you knew this, but I'm a helicopter pilot. So I love your analogy. I was like, hey, yeah, I fly helicopters. I actually did that during COVID when I was so stressed. I needed a hobby. And so I got my helicopter license and I fly helicopters. I actually just sold the helicopter though, and I bought a plane so I can travel the state more for the association stuff. But anyways, yes, there is. I look at that, and for me, I look at it and I go, can we carry that interest? How long can we carry that interest? I mean, we look at more financially, and we try to be really smart where we put stuff. So being on the real estate side, you'd understand this. We have we have access to a lot of data. We can see what areas are selling fast and what price ranges. So I really try to be smart about it. Like I talk about being a gambler, and I'm not afraid to gamble, but it's a very smart gamble. It's as smart as I can be. But then knowing too, I don't know the outcome, but I think these areas will be good. And then I look as a company, just make sure, okay, if we do have to carry this, for 2 years, are we okay? And what does that look like? And so it's a balance. I'm not going to say I have any secret sauce for it. It's every project we look at on its own merit. And we just say, okay, would it work? I try not to get too ahead of my skis on stuff, because I never want to have so much out there that the market turns again. And I don't want to be stuck with 13 homes again, because that hurt so bad the first time. It goes back to what we said. Learn your lesson the first time. Like if you keep making the same mistake, that's on you. Like, I mean, I hate to say that. I mean, but if I went out and got 13 more specs sitting there and I had to go through exactly what I went through 3 years ago, that's on me. I didn't learn my lesson. So there we go.
Yeah. Way back in the day when I used to fight competitively, my coach would say, it's really novel how you block those punches with your face. There is a better way to do it. Right. So it's like, you do have to do a lane change there eventually. So speaking of lane change, life is going great. You're this, great builder. You've got a wonderful family life. And you think, man, I've just got so much free time on my hand. I'm going to run for president of the local association. Yeah. How the heck did that come up?
Okay, so I've been involved at state level for a bit. I joined the Builders Association way back in the day. So our local association way back in the day as a realtor. I wasn't a builder yet. Joined because I wanted to get to know all the builders, because I wanted to list their houses, and it was great. Got involved. I was president of our local association in Amarillo 2 years in a row. But then all this time I was involved at state, and I was learning more about state and what they did. And it's eye-opening. I'm telling you, once you get down there and you see what your state association does for you, the lobbying and the contracts and everything they do, you start buying into it and you go, wow, this is cool. So as this went, I started working my way up kind of the ranks. I chaired the contract committee, and then I was area vice president, and then it was just on my heart. And there wasn't any one thing that just said, hey, now's your time to run. It was just on my heart that it was time to run. And so I jumped out there and I did it. Had to have an election. We haven't had it. Most of the time we don't have an election. Most of the time there's only one person that throws their hat in the ring, because really people don't want to have elections. I mean, most of the time. But for me, it was just so on my heart that I threw my name in the ring, knowing that we were going to have an election. And that was stressful. That was the first election I think we had in 13 years, like a contested election. Let me throw that contested election. And I'm so proud of the gentleman that I ran against. We ran a clean fight, and really he was more qualified than I was. I mean, he's fantastic, and I didn't want to run against him because he had so much going for him. He's serving the association so well, but I just couldn't explain it. It was just on my heart that this is my time. I want to run, and I'm so glad I did, because it does take up time. It's a big 4-year commitment, but it's worth it. It's how I'm able to give back to the industry that I love so much and that provides for me and my family.
Yeah. And to be clear, we're talking about the National Association of Home Builders.
So that's the Texas Association of Home Builders, where I ran. Yeah.
Yeah. You're the president of that.
Of Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's your opportunity to I like to tease Jim Tobin every opportunity that I
Yeah.
get, the president of the association. What would be Chris's 5 things, the top 5 reasons why you need to be a member of the
Yeah.
association?
Okay. So I love it. So one, and I'm not going to say these are in any order, but I'll tell you, getting to know your peers and building those relationships. I'm big on relationships. Everything I do is relationship based. I think it's the most important thing you can do. It doesn't matter if you're a builder, if you sell homes, electrician, title company, it doesn't matter. The relationship is key in anything. So I would say join and build those relationships. Now, just like anything else, if you join and you don't get involved, you're probably not going to get much out of it. I mean, I just hate to say it. You got to get involved. You got to let people know who you are. People want to do business with people they know and they trust. That's what I think anyways. I would say 2, you got to find a place that you can give back. What's your passion? When you join something, if it's the Parade of Homes, great. Let's get you on the Parade of Homes committee. Let's get you where you can kind of give back there. For state and national, where they're so good, and even our locals. And this is probably one of the biggest things is the governmental affairs. We have got to. Let me just say this. When I went with the Texas Association of Builders we have a thing called Rally Day, and it's where we meet up, every other year down at the state capitol, and we meet with all of our legislators, and it's fantastic. Rally Day opens your eyes to how important it is that our state and our national level are fighting for us in Austin and in Washington, D.C. Without that, it's scary to think where it'd be. And I say it's scary, and I'll tell you why I think it's scary. Housing is big. It is a big ticket item, and it is easy one for people to go after, to either attack with regulation or taxes or a multitude of other things. But housing supplies so many jobs, and it's such a big industry that we've got to fight for it. And I know some people say, politics, I don't like politics. I get it. But you have to have somebody fighting on your side for it, or you're not going to like the outcome. And so I would say probably the biggest thing that state and national do, and they do it very well, is they fight for us. And when I say fight for us, it's not just fighting for builders. It's fighting for everybody that's in that's affected by housing, which is so many people. So I'll just tell you, I think that's your number one. The other 2, it's all great, but it's really just getting involved, supporting, and then just knowing that GRC, that government relations side is so important, and it can't be overlooked.
When you say fighting for it, can you share one of the things right now that they're fighting for?
Yeah. So I would say, like in the past, this is just something recently that was passed, is there's a lot of cities that try to do impact fees because they always go, we'll hit these builders and developers with impact fees. Well, they don't understand that. I get it looks like an easy way to raise money, but what it does is that cost just gets passed along, and every $1,000 a house goes up, it takes out a lot of buyers. And so we're fighting this big problem right now on affordability across the U.S. to keep prices low so people can afford it. But if you start adding these impact fees and all this regulation, all that does is make the home a little bit higher and a little bit higher. So the state Texas Association of Builders actually pushed and fought for some regulation and to give impact fees are still legal, but it gives it slows down the process a little bit where people have time to look and to see what that impact fee looks like. And the accounting of it is more open now too. So it's good. So they're still there, but at least it slows it down, and it gives everybody some insight and some accounting, some just to make sure. So that's one of the big things. The other things that Texas is fighting for a lot, we just had a big win, is there's a school here. They actually have their grand opening tomorrow for one of their new campuses in Waco, but it's called Texas State Technical College. And one thing we're fighting on right now is we need more labor. Labor is a big issue. We need more labor. So Texas Association of Builders was one of the ones, not the only one of the ones leading the fight to get TSTC some money from the state legislator. We asked for $1 billion. We didn't get $1 billion. We only got $850 million set up in an endowment. But that is going to fund, I think, don't hold me to it, but somewhere around $50 to $53 million a year for Texas State Technical College, where they can train our next generation of workforce. And so it's just things like that. I almost said little things. That's not little. That's big But those are just two of the things. But I'll tell you, we fight for, they look at every bill that's coming through. And some of the things, we talk about our wins. We don't talk about some of the things that maybe don't ever make it to be voted on, because it'd be so bad for housing that we're able to fight and keep that off even the vote, because it'd just be so bad. And if it's bad for housing, it's more expensive for consumers.
It just amazes me how government wants to get in the way, like even calling it an impact fee. Well, I don't have to be a helicopter pilot to go, okay, impact means if you increase the price on homes because you're charging me a fee, which I'm going to now have to incorporate into the price of the home so I can be profitable. That means we've now created the affordability issue. We've taken more people out potentially of the marketplace. You're slowing down the potential for building more homes. It's like there's a certain type of stupid, if you will, and I don't know if it's developed in a lab or in a test tube, where they have to go out of their way to impede what builders do, which is build.
They look at builders and developers too, and it's false, but they look at them and they go, "Oh, that's easy money." I've had somebody from the city tell me before, "Oh, you builders and developers, y'all are rich." And again, it goes back to that thing. They don't see everything going on. We're not rich. I mean, some people are doing very well in it, but we're fighting just like anything else. But they look at us as housing such a big volume, big dollar amount. It's an easy target to go after. And without having people at state level and national level, housing would be a lot more money than it is today.
Yeah. One of the things that Jim said when we did the interview that really resonates, he says, like it or not, government's coming for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was such a foreboding alarm, if you will. Government's coming for you. So let's do a lane change here. We've covered a lot of runway. Is there anything, Chris, that you want to touch on that we haven't so far?
No. So, I mean, one thing I do want to throw out is my love for Texas Association of Builders. This is going to be my little plug. I'll tell you, if you're a builder and you're saying, maybe you've joined a local association, but you don't really know how to get involved in state level or anything else, you've got a good opportunity coming up. So we have a show called Sunbelt, and I think you're going to be there, aren't you? The builder show?
Absolutely. It would be a pack of wild dogs to keep me away from that one.
So Sunbelt is this year, it's in San Antonio, and it's July, I wrote it down so I didn't forget, July 21st through 24th in San Antonio. And I tell you, if you're a builder and you're just looking at a way to start kind of plugging in and just seeing what state level looks like, that's a great place to start. We have a great trade show that's 2 days long. You can go through there, see everything. But then, the rest of that time we have meetings, and you're welcome to sit in on any of the meetings we have. They're open, so you can sit in, but you learn so much more. So I would say, big plug, come down to Sunbelt. That'd be a good show. And we actually have a fun money-raising event for HomePack. HomePack is our political action committee, but it's at Howl at the Moon, and it's on the Riverwalk. And this should be a lot of fun. It's a piano bar, so you can come. I'm not going to get up and sing or dance or anything, but it'll be a great event.
Yeah. Not to show my bias, but being a member of the San Antonio Association, yeah, you guys know how to have fun.
Yeah. And being on the Riverwalk's great. That's going to be, that's where our hotel is and everything. So the whole show is right there on the Riverwalk. It's going to be fantastic. And it's kind of special for Texas Association of Builders because this is where Sunbelt started 25 years ago. So we're actually going back to where it all started, and it should be good. And I know San Antonio's excited about it. And a lot of us we're really excited to go down there and visit San Antonio.
That's so cool. It's like going back to the future.
Exactly. Yeah.
Next part, I call it rapid fire. And
Okay.
I don't want you to overthink it, Chris. I'm just going to bombard you with questions. And like I said, don't overthink it.
Right.
First thing that comes to your head, finish off the sentence.
Okay.
Buckled up and ready?
Yes.
Okay. Private production builders, when they get in trouble, it's because
Too much inventory.
the most expensive mistake a production builder or a custom builder can make is
I would say not starting.
a deal looks great until,
It doesn't.
okay. The best builders I know have this in common.
They have systems.
Let's do a switch, more personal side. When I finally get some time to myself, what I love to do to recharge is,
I just sit around and relax. I love flying too.
I want to go on the helicopter. I love those things, man.
Yeah.
The one place that always helps me reflect and think clearly is,
So it's really at work, and it sounds bad. This isn't a one word answer, but at work after 5, I love my 5 to 7. I'm usually at the office till about 7. That 5 to 7, the phone stops ringing. I really have a chance to dig in and give it my all. So I would say after 5 o'clock,
A book, movie, or quote that has stayed with me longer than expected is.
Oh, you put me on the spot on this one. I can't even think anything. I'll come back to you on that one.
Here's the point. You tell me you're illiterate. Okay, great. Now
Yeah,
we got that
yeah.
out. A Texas
Read. How do
president
you
can't
read?
read. Okay, good. Something really interesting that somebody would find out if they get to know me.
So it's probably going back to flying, that I can fly helicopters and planes.
Last question. What a thoughtful gift. As I unwrapped the package, to my delight and surprise, I found a
Okay, so some of the best thing is anything for my kids, and it could be a drawing or anything else, but a picture or a drawing from family.
so nice. How many kids have you got, Chris?
I've got two. I've got a 19-year-old that's going to Texas Tech down here, and then I've got a almost 14-year-old and a little girl named Lux. So Carter's my son, Lux is my daughter.
Cool. What's the legacy that you want to, so especially with kids, there's got to be something that's going to just make your heart sing. When you look back, what is that? Is it a building ethic? Is that a home that you built? What is that message that you want to leave behind to your kids? So when they think of dad, they think, and that's not a sentence, that's a paragraph.
Yeah. Yeah. So my thing, when I want my kids to look at it and see that I did the right thing all the time. One of our core values is do the right thing every time. I want them to know how important that is to do business the right way. It's not about just making money. Another core value is you never put money first. You take care of the client and the money will come. If you do the right thing, the money will come, but never put money first. And we hold that for all of our companies. But really with the kids, I just want them to know of like, I don't really care about if we made money or we didn't make money. I'd rather them know that I did the right thing and I was ethical the whole time. And I really, if that's the legacy, then I'm perfectly fine with that.
Cool. I got one more. I haven't asked this in a long, long time. And knowing you the way I do, this is something that isn't going to happen for a long, 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 emphasis on long, long, long time. But I want you to pretend that you wake up one morning and you're dead, which isn't going to be a good start for your day.
No.
And you're standing there at St. Peter's Gate, and being the tech guy that you are, and you appreciate the technology, he's holding an iPad and he's kind of scrolling through and he's giggling, frowning, giggling. And he points to you, pulls you out of the line, says, "Come on over here, young man. I want to talk to you." And what you realize is he's scrolling through your life story and he's watching little vignettes of Chris. And he gets to one and then he stops and he looks you right in the eye and he says, "Not today. There's something you haven't done yet." What's that something that Chris hasn't done yet?
I look at that and it's something I look at a lot because, I'd say not that long ago was like, I've got to start this business. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to grow. Now in my, as I get older, I realize it's less about starting that next thing. It's more perfecting what we have and reclaiming my time, because what I've noticed now is time is your most valuable thing you have. And I'm not saying don't take me wrong. I still want to work hard. I'm not afraid of it, but I like having the flexibility of that time. My biggest thing I could do, just looking forward, is I want to make sure the company runs very smooth, the companies. And if my kids want it, it's something they can move into. I'm not pushing them, but my biggest thing now is let's fine tune what we have. Let's make the best experience we can for our team and for our clients. And then if my kids choose to move into it, fantastic. The other thing I want to do too is as our business grows, I really want to give back. That's something we give back now, but I'd like to make that even something bigger that we do down the road, because I don't know what it is, but something about giving makes you feel so good and just helping people out any way I can.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown. When I was coaching realtors, a friend of mine was a clinical psychologist. I don't know if I shared this with you, but he tried to put time into a perspective for me. And when people bitch and complain. So for me, I was teaching realtors how to do video marketing. So for them, it was getting over the, I'm too fat, I'm too ugly, anything with a two out front of it to hit the record button. And I would make light of that. But when he showed me this thing, it was so powerful and it would really resonate with a builder. He took out a measuring tape. And so he taught me this, and I'm doing it up front of, it could be 50 people, or my biggest crowd was 2,000 people. And so I'll yell out, "What's the average lifespan? The average person on the planet?" 70. 70, 80. Okay, let's sell at 75. Okay, 75. What's the average age of people in here? Average realtor age is about 55, right? So 75, 55. You take out that measuring tape and you measure out 75 inches. And then at 55, you bend it. And you realize, here's how much that you've traveled. Here's how much that's left.
Yep.
And it's like, a Texas acronym, it's a kick in the nuts, man, by a mule, because suddenly you realize how much runway you have left.
Yeah.
And that puts everything in perspective.
It does. And it makes you realize what's important, because we talked about family and we hit on this earlier, but as a builder, as an entrepreneur, as anybody that owns your own business, it is very easy to be immersed in your work. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be to a point, but you got to have that time, because you'll wake up and you look and you go, where did my time go? And now my kid's grown up, I have a son that's in college down here. That's crazy. And a daughter that's going to high school next year. It's crazy. Where'd the time go? And so that's what's made me just look back and go, you know what? I want to reclaim that time. And one thing that I love about our industry is, if I want to go watch our volleyball, I can take off. I can go do that, because, we are self-employed. And now if I do that, I may not be making any money that day, but you know what? Family's more important than money. So it's totally worth it.
I think that balance there, and you've nailed it. What you do doesn't define who you are. You do what you do because it provides you the opportunity to do what you want to do. And I think that's a good way to end it there, young man. Anything that I've missed? Anything you want to add?
No, it's fantastic.
All right, my friend, I think what we'll do is we'll say to be continued. How's that?
I love it. We'll see you shortly.
Take care, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Builder Straight Talk. Make sure to like, comment, and share this episode on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, available wherever you get your podcast streaming fix. Until next time, keep building smarter. This episode is made possible by our parent company, Sound Capital, funding built for builders.